Welcome to Audiobooks Hub. In today's chapter, Clairvoyance, Neville Goddard delves into the depths of understanding beyond observation, guided by Mark 18. Drawing parallels to financial statements, Neville emphasizes that true clairvoyance involves interpreting what is seen. Using Dumas's Count of Monte Cristo as a mystic biography, he illustrates Edmond Dante's transformative journey toward enlightenment. Follow Dante's symbolic path, discovering the emperor within and navigating life's storms. The old priest represents infinite wisdom, guiding Dante's to higher consciousness. In a transformative moment, Dante embraces his new identity as the Count of Monte Cristo, symbolizing the awakening of man into Christ consciousness. Subscribe for more timeless truths and awakened imagination as we explore Neville's mystical journey through the Bible's psychological secrets. Let's begin. Chapter 25. Clairvoyance. Having eyes, see ye not, and having ears, hear ye not? And do ye not remember? Mark 8:18. True clairvoyance rests not in your ability to see things beyond the range of human vision, but rather in your ability to understand that which you see. A financial statement can be seen by anyone, but very few can read a financial statement. The capacity to interpret the statement is the mark of clear seeing or clairvoyance. That every object, both animate and inanimate, is enveloped in a liquid light which moves and pulsates with an energy far more radiant than the objects themselves. No one knows better than the author. But he also knows that the ability to see such auras is not equal to the ability to understand that which one sees in the world around about him. To illustrate this point, here is a story with which the whole world is familiar, yet only the true mystic or clairvoyant has ever really seen it. Synopsis. The story of Dumas's Count of Monte Cristo is, to the mystic and true clairvoyant, the biography of every man. 1. Esipteri. Edmond Dantes, a young sailor, finds the captain of his ship dead. Taking command of the ship in the midst of a storm-swept sea, he attempts to steer the ship into a safe anchorage. 2. On Dantes is a secret document which must be given to a man he does not know, but who will make himself known to the young sailor in due time. This document is a plan to set the Emperor Napoleon free from his prison on the Isle of Elba. 3. Dieu, as Dantes reaches poor three men who by their flattery and praise have succeeded in worming their way into the good graces of the present king. Fearing any change that would alter their positions in the government, have the young mariner arrested and committed to the catacombs. 4. Talide. Here in this tomb Dantes is forgotten and left to rot. Many years pass, then one day Dantes, who is by this time a living skeleton, hears a knock on his wall. Answering this knock, he hears the voice of one on the other side of the stone. In response to this voice, Dante removes the stone and discovers an old priest who has been in prison so long that no one knows the reason for his imprisonment or the length of time he has been there. Commentary. 1. As our life itself is a storm-swept sea with which man wrestles as he tries to steer himself into a haven of rest. 2. In meing within every man is the secret plan that will set free the mighty emperor within himself. 3. Say, and in his attempt to find security in this world is misled by the false lights of greed, vanity, and power. Most men believe that fame, great wealth, or political power would secure them against the storms of life. So they seek to acquire these as the anchors of their life, only to find that in their search for these they gradually lose the knowledge of their true being. If man places his faith in things other than himself, that in which his faith is placed will in time destroy him, at which time he will be as one imprisoned in confusion and despair. 4. Here, behind these walls of mental darkness, man remains in what appears to be a living death. After years of disappointment, man turns from these false friends, and he discovers within himself the Ancient One, his awareness of being, who has been buried since the day he first believed himself to be man and forgot that he was God. Synopsis. 5. The old priest had spent many years digging his way out of this living tomb only to discover that he had dug his way into Dante's tomb. He then resigns himself to his fate and decides to find his joy and freedom by instructing Dante in all that he knows concerning the mysteries of life and to aid him to escape as well. Dante, at first, is impatient to acquire all this information, but the old priest, with infinite patience garnered through his long imprisonment, shows Dante how unfit he is to receive this knowledge in his present, unprepared, anxious mind. So with philosophic calm he slowly reveals to the young man the mysteries of life and time. 6 days ripens under the old priest's instructions. The old man finds himself living more and more in the consciousness of Dante. Finally, he imparts his last bit of wisdom to Dante's, making him competent to handle positions of trust. He then tells him of an inexhaustible treasure buried on the Isle of Monte Cristo. 7 At this revelation, the walls of the catacomb which separated them from the ocean above cave in, crushing the old man to death. The guards, discovering the accident, sew the old priest's body into a sack and prepare to cast it out to sea. As they leave to get a stretcher, Dantes removes the body of the old priest and sews himself into the bag. The guards, unaware of this change of bodies and believing him to be the old man, throw Dantes into the water. Commentary. 5. This revelation is so wonderful that when man first hears it, he wants to acquire it all at once. But he finds that, after numberless years spent in the belief of being man, he has so completely forgotten his true identity that he is now incapable of absorbing this memory all at once. He also discovers that he can do so only in proportion to his letting go of all human values and opinions. 6. As man drops these cherished human values, he absorbs more and more of the light, the old priest, until finally he becomes the light and knows himself to be the Ancient One. I am the light of the world. 7. The flowing of both blood and water in the death of the old priest is comparable to the flow of blood and water from the side of Jesus as the Roman soldiers pierced him, the phenomenon which always takes place at birth, were symbolizing the birth of a higher consciousness. Synopsis. 8. Dantes frees himself from the sack, goes to the Isle of Monte Cristo and discovers the buried treasure. Then, armed with this fabulous wealth and this superhuman wisdom, he discards his human identity of Edmond Dantes and assumes the title of the Count of Monte Cristo. Commentary. At 9. Man discovers his awareness of being to be the inexhaustible treasure of the universe. In that day, when man makes this discovery, he dies as man and awakes as God. Yes, Edmond Dantes becomes the Count of Monte Cristo. Man becomes Christ. Welcome to the next chapter, chapter 26, 23rd Psalm, in Neville Goddard's enlightening journey. Dive into the verses as keys to unlock your inner power. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. My awareness guides all I'm conscious of, ensuring abundance without needing proof. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Consciousness magnifies my desires, leading me to eternal abundance effortlessly. He leadeth me beside the still waters. My consciousness guides me to calm fulfillment effortlessly. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Recognizing my awareness as God restores my kingdom, I use this knowledge to become what I desire. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff they comfort me. In the face of confusion, I fear no evil, restoring consciousness to its place, reflecting my own. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Despite opposition, I succeed, overflowing with the joy of being God. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Conscious of goodness and mercy, signs follow me, dwelling in the house of being God forever. Stay tuned for more revelations and wisdom at Audiobooks Hub. Subscribe for a transformative journey.